Some prisons are built to hold ordinary criminals, and then there are the ones built for men so dangerous, so cunning, that ordinary walls were never going to be enough. These are the prisoners who terrified their own captors, men who escaped facilities considered escape-proof, men who kept killing from inside a cell. Stay with me, because what you are about to hear will make you question whether any prison is truly secure. We begin at Alcatraz, the island prison in San Francisco Bay, once considered completely inescapable, surrounded by freezing currents and patrolled around the clock. In June 1962, 3 inmates, Frank Morris and brothers John and Clarence Anglin, spent months carving through the walls of their cells using sharpened spoons, placing fake heads made of soap, toilet paper, and real human hair in their beds to fool nighttime guards. On the night of June 11th, they slipped through the tunnels they had carved, climbed to the roof, and disappeared into the freezing waters of San Francisco Bay on a makeshift raft built from raincoats. Guards did not discover the escape until the following morning. Despite one of the largest manhunts in American history, no confirmed trace of the 3 men was ever found. The official position of the FBI for decades was that they had drowned. But in 2013, a letter was received by San Francisco police, allegedly written by one of the escapees, claiming that all 3 had survived and made it safely to land. The letter has never been fully verified. To this day, the case remains formally open, and the fate of the 3 men who escaped the inescapable prison remains one of the great unsolved mysteries in American criminal history. From California, we travel to Mexico for the story of a man whose escape was so elaborate it seemed to belong in a film rather than reality. Joaquin Guzman, known to the world as El Chapo, was the leader of the Sinaloa cartel, one of the most powerful criminal organizations on earth. In 2015, while held at a maximum security facility considered one of Mexico's most secure prisons, Guzman vanished from his cell. Investigators discovered a tunnel beginning directly beneath his shower, extending nearly a mile, complete with ventilation, lighting, and a motorcycle on rails to help him move through the passage more quickly. The construction had taken well over a year and required extraordinary coordination between people both inside and outside the prison walls. Guzman remained free for 6 months before being recaptured. He was eventually extradited to the United States, tried, and sentenced to life in prison, this time in a facility designed specifically to prevent any similar escape. We move now to a very different kind of danger, not a man who escaped his prison, but one who continued to exert influence and inspire followers from deep inside it. Charles Manson never personally committed the murders that made him one of the most notorious names in American criminal history. Instead, he convinced a group of young followers that a coming apocalyptic race war justified a series of brutal killings carried out on his instructions in the summer of 1969. Manson was convicted and sentenced to life in prison. Yet for decades, he continued to receive letters from admirers around the world, granted interviews from behind bars, and remained a figure that prison officials watched with extraordinary caution, aware that his ability to influence and manipulate people had never required physical freedom to be dangerous. He died in prison in 2017, having spent nearly 50 years incarcerated, still receiving mail from strangers, fascinated by a man who never needed to escape to remain a threat. Finally, we travel to Colorado to a supermax facility built specifically to house the most dangerous men in the American prison system. A DX Florence holds inmates in near total isolation, spending 23 hours a day alone in reinforced concrete cells with narrow, angled windows, designed so prisoners cannot even see the facility's own walls, let alone plan any kind of escape. Among its residents have been terrorists, cartel leaders, and men convicted of some of the most infamous crimes in modern American history. No inmate has ever successfully escaped ADX Florence. It was designed by studying every previous prison break in American history and eliminating every weakness those escapes had exploited. It remains, by most accounts, the closest thing to a truly inescapable prison that has ever been built. A facility created entirely in response to men who had already proven that no ordinary wall could hold them. What connects Alcatraz, El Chapo, Charles Manson, and ADX Florence is not simply danger, but a lesson learned again and again by those responsible for containing the most dangerous people society produces. Physical walls alone were never enough. Every escape, every continued act of manipulation from behind bars revealed a gap between what a prison was built to prevent and what determined, resourceful, and sometimes deeply patient individuals were capable of exploiting. Some of those gaps have since been closed. Others, perhaps, are still waiting to be discovered. Subscribe to VaultX Mysteries, because the vault goes deeper than you think, and we are just getting started.